Hello and welcome to Dr. Viola Voila Voices and Videos, a podcast and YouTube series where I interview friends and artists working or living here in gorgeous Ipswich, Massachusetts. I'm here today with a good friend and artist, Eliza. Please introduce yourself, tell the audience what we'll be getting into, and any other pertinent information.
I'm Eliza Jane Seastone. I have lived in Ipswich for 4 years. Our family moved here from the city for more space and just to spend some more time in the woods. I work at the YMCA.
How we met.
Which is how we met. I spend my early mornings at 5 a.m. painting there because it's pretty quiet. The morning crowd is great. And that's how we met.
Yeah, and I saw your artwork of a pinup ladybug.
That's right. We like to call them the pinsects. I do a lot of artwork inspired by nature and animals, but I've also done a series of sort of hyper feminine pinup pieces. So this is kind of the perfect thing to work with. So
Yes.
I think we're going to work on maybe sketching and starting a creative rendition inspired by this Creola. I'm saying crow in this.
Yes.
Although inspired by Oriole, I'm saying crow or raven.
What's the best way to get started in your creative process?
Well, generally if I'm just working on something myself, I'll have an idea in my head and find something that is inspirational, and then I'll start with a sketch when I'm painting. I do a lot of mixed media stuff, but generally with paintings, if I am creating some kind of creature or hybrid, I'll look at images, and then flat images, look at them sort of side by side and start sketching out first, and then I start applying paint.
Oh, so the images you're looking at aren't already created, like the pinup and the animal. So you're taking inspiration from both.
Yep.
So this is a very different first step into...
This is the first time I've seen them combined that I'm going to work on that, so maybe it'll make it easier.
I love that. How should we get started?
I think initially we should take some photos of you because I generally work off images. I'm excited to have you to reference for color and curve.
Yes.
But I'll probably take some flat pictures of you and sketch out the original outline that way, and then we can talk and I'll paint.
I love it. So let's transition into the photo studio.
Okay. Sketching you out of space for it, but they're not nothing like that.
You have the images?
I think so.
Awesome. And we're back from our photo shoot. And I see, so you're drafting with pencil.
Yep.
So as a self-taught artist,
Yep.
how do you go about your process? Or who did you learn from?
Well, I come from real crafty stock. I've got a mom who, everything she does is every creative endeavor, she just knocks it out of the park.
Yeah.
And
So did she encourage you growing up? Like,
yeah,
no matter what it was?
There was just lots of projects happening on every surface as far as the eye could see.
Yes.
But I have no formal training, so it really was just like being crafty and gluing things together. And I don't think I follow any rules, and I probably break a lot of them without knowing what they are. But that's probably my style in life too, so.
That's
yeah.
great. Yeah, my mom was the same way growing up. She wasn't so much as artsy, but she encouraged me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and no matter what I wanted to do.
That's
like,
obvious, I think.
Oh, yes, yeah. She encouraged all of this. Thanks, Mom.
So I did a bunch of different photos to sort of see your wings and movement and your curves and your color. But I think the most impressive, the one I want to go with, is you with your full wings. You know? So I think that's what we're going to start with. So I'm starting with the wings because they're the largest, and then I can sort of size your body more according.
I love that. So you always start with pencil when you're doing a painting?
Yeah, I
Okay.
sketch everything out. I mean, I've done some stuff where I start painting, but I've got to get sort of an outline down. And sometimes it's just a suggestion, but in terms of shading and coloring and detail, I sketch it out in pencil, and then with fading and highlights, that all comes with paint.
With the paint.
Yep.
Oh, I love that.
And then sometimes I like to do mixed media stuff, like I'd done some sketches of you last night just to kind of play around when you were the
Do you
rose.
want to show us those?
Sure. This is just a pencil sketch of you. I took some stills, like screenshots of you when you were the rose.
Yes.
What was your character name for the rose?
My little plant grow. Oh, I'm always Dr. Viola Voila.
Of course, of course,
Yes.
of course. Sometimes when I'm doing things that are like a little more cartoony or something, I'll paint. This one is actually watercolor acrylic and pen. I penciled it out, and then I did watercolor, and then I kept going over the watercolor, and it was getting a little sticky. Sometimes when you apply multiple coats of different paint, it'll change the consistency of it.
Yeah,
So I
can
was
you
like,
describe,
screw it.
because as far as I know, like watercolor, it's easier to work with. Like move around.
It blends in a really interesting way,
Okay.
but in terms of layering it, it starts behaving differently. If you put multiple layers of watercolor, it'll like, as you, with a wet brush, go over thick watercolor, it'll pull the ink out, and you'll get like, you'll see the texture of the paper underneath.
You
It's
put the
kind of
acrylic
interesting.
over the watercolor.
Yeah, I did the watercolor first, and then I was
Oh.
like, oh, and I also wanted like metallic for some of the highlights in your eyeshadow and cheekbones.
Yeah, I see it in the eyes. It's so cool, like the eyeshadow.
Yeah, and metallic acrylic is, they make a ton of it, and it's like you can add a little silver or gold to anything to add highlights to it. What we're working on now, I took a bunch of pictures of you with your wings spread and giving your cry. So we're gonna start with one of those and just sort of do a simple sketch and then move forward from there.
So you were saying, how did you first get into it was mostly through your childhood. Then what inspires you nowadays?
Now being close to nature is really fun. So I see things all the time and I'm inspired by that. But I also have sort of figured out I'm 47, and at this point in life that the most effective therapy for me is to maintain a creative habit all the time.
Oh,
So,
I relate,
yeah.
because like this as Dr. Viola Voila brings me the most joy
Yeah.
out of anything.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm a sociable person out of drag too, but there's something about channeling it into a creative art
Yeah.
and then sharing it with people and then learning about their creativity
I couldn't
that I've been
agree more.
inspired, like this look was inspired by you.
Yay,
So it's like, I love
that.
meeting people in the community and just, being inspired.
Yeah, and we have such this community in Ipswich. It took me a little while to start to uncover them, but we have a whole community of artists and weirdos and collectors, and the Ipswich Art Association, which I love, is run by Cynthia August, who you know as well, who is
Yes.
wonderful and creative and an artist and a believer, she just inspires so many people, and she really believes that everyone can do it.
Yes.
And everyone can.
Yeah.
Find something that makes you feel good.
So for you, in terms of your creative process, where do you find time of day?
Well, part of what I enjoy the most about working at the Y is that I intentionally work the most brutal shift, which is the 5 a.m. shift. Besides the fact that I am devoted and committed to my early morning people, some of the best people in the world wake up at 4 in the morning, which is,
I mean, what's that quote about like successful people waking up super early? Yes.
I mean, I don't know if I resemble that remark, but I'll get there and I'll get there and get paid. But I also have met these wonderful people, and it's so quiet that I get to paint. I also paint the windows there, which I had never done before.
Did they ask you or?
Well, no. The answer is no. Randall, who we both know and love, had done some little illustrations with chalk markers on the windows, and then she wasn't working there anymore, had left. And I was like, oh, if she could do that, then I could probably do this. So I just decided to do it one morning at 5 a.m. because I was the only one there. If I'm going to be there for 4 hours early in the morning, then why not use that time to do my job and be creative? And it's been really cool. I've met so many interesting artists. Ideal is I really enjoy painting in my studio, which looks like a bomb went off
Oh, no.
And it's just half-finished projects stacked up and paint everywhere. And I would like to think that it would be clean someday, but every time I clean it, I mess it up. So,
And turn it into a work of art? Yes. Yeah.
I'm messy, not dirty. That's what I like to say.
Yeah, because whenever I've seen you at the Y, from the first instance, you were working on a painting.
I mean, I paint at least a couple hours every day, but I usually listen to an audiobook or podcast or music in one headphone so I can multitask.
Oh, I love that. It's not distracting for you?
No. You know, we had talked briefly before coming on here about synesthesia,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, my dissertation was in synesthesia.
Yeah,
Color, specifically color in music.
Yeah, which was pretty fascinating. I kind of depending on what I'm listening to, I've created pieces of artwork where I didn't know where it was going, but created pieces that I look at now and think of or feel the emotion that I was feeling while I was painting it.
Is there a particular artist?
Well, actually, my son, Rowan, who's the best. Have you met Rowan yet?
No, not yet.
He's the best. You could ask these guys. He rules. He's like the number one town kid. He's the best.
Do you have an only child?
Yep.
Oh,
just
okay,
one.
yeah. I was
One
like,
and
that'd be
done.
awkward if there was another.
Oh, yeah, the other one's not so good. Rowan is fantastic, but he and I listened to this podcast recently about artists and emotional response to color, and they, of course, were talking about Rothko, because we had looked at some images. He was like, what does his stuff look like? And I was like, well, and I showed some images, and he said, I could do that.
Yes.
And I said, I know, that's kind of part of it. And he is not my favorite artist, but I have been at museums in the presence of his work and had real emotional responses to it. So,
Yes.
I mean, that was something that he did, that he was like, it's, why am I crying in this room, you know, or however it affects you emotionally. I do have favorite artists and favorite creators and crafters, but I would say that generally I'm inspired by the people around me and the close friends that I have that are, making suggestions and telling me about what they're experiencing and feeling. And
So what other pinup animals do you know?
Yes.
Or how did you get down that rabbit hole?
Oh, the pin sex. So I did a series of beetle paintings for the Ipswich Town Art Show. I did a rhinoceros beetle and a stag beetle, and I did them big with this mixed media background, but I was just thinking about how cool bugs are. And the first one that I did was the praying mantis was the first of my pinsect hybrid human insect series. I was like, what about a praying mantis? Because the female praying mantis,
Eats the head? Or what is the story?
during the act,
Oh, I didn't know
spins
that.
her head around and bites the head off her male.
Is there a purpose?
I don't know.
Is that's just how they procreate?
That's how they procreate.
Interesting.
Yeah, she during the act bites their head off. So I guess that was when I was thinking about those old 50s pinups of, like women with curves, and they're all cute. And then I was thinking about the praying mantis and what a badass she is with these crazy hands and turning her head around and biting off the suitor.
I love it.
Yeah, so that's where it started. But then I was thinking about bumblebees, and I was thinking about beetles, and I was thinking about Halloween and how there's always like a sexy bumblebee costume or a
always.
sexy
Sexy
ladybug.
everything, yeah.
Oh yeah, so now we're getting to the feet here. I know I'm getting distracted from
So
my
how
drawing.
detailed do you get with the pencil first?
Not super detailed.
Yeah, it's mostly just the shape
It's
outline.
just shape outline and features, you have a very oval shaped face, and that's kind of a hard thing. I'll go over it and over it and over it to capture, but you do like a line down the front for symmetry if you're going front on. Eyes are generally about like a third of the way down from the top of the head, but everybody's are sort of different. So I'll do a line for eyes, a line for nose, and a line for mouth if it's front facing. And everyone varies a little bit, but get the basic outline down and then you can start applying ink or paint. I'm taking some creative liberty with your posing here and giving you a little bent knee.
Oh yeah, give me a little more.
Yeah.
Yeah, how did you get into like the mixed media tables?
Oh, the tables.
You said you were always into collaging, but what made you like stick it to a table?
I was driving in Watertown, Massachusetts, and I saw this bench on the side of the road that was painted lavender, and it was heinous. Brought it home and painted it all this like sort of metallic green, and that's when I started being like, oh, you can do anything with this, and you can take some funny little table and you can paint directly on it.
I can't believe I still haven't come over.
Yeah, our house is a bit
Everyone
of a
else
museum.
I talk to that I know, they're like, oh, Eliza's house is so cool.
We have a lot of neat stuff. There's a lot of collectibles. I mean, we live right down the street from Todd Farm. You gotta, you know. And my husband is sort of a minimalist, and he is often like, don't bring anything home unless you plan on getting rid of something, which is when I'll like sneak in a ceramic baby head wearing a top hat and smoking a pipe, nail it into the wall, and he's like, where did the ceramic baby head smoking a pipe come from? It's like, I don't know, it must have been here when we bought the house.
Do you have a storage unit, or does your studio act as the storage?
My studio is in our house. It's off our dining room. It's just this kind of funny little room that must have been an office, and I took it over. I don't remember what your last question was. I don't know.
Oh, how did you get into the tables?
Oh yeah, so that's how I started doing that, and then I just got. It was always like kind of funny stuff. You'll have to meet my favorite piece of decoupage that I've ever done was. I was at this thrift store that I love in Watertown, and I found this book that was called like 10-minute workouts or something like that, and it was published in 1984, and the author was a woman named Joyce, and I don't remember her name, but she's like a fitness guru. And it was all black and white pictures of her showing this 10-minute workout, but she's wearing leg warmers, a leotard, and ballet flats, and she's got super big 80s hair.
Oh,
and there was hundreds of pictures of her. So I spent possibly hundreds of hours cutting them out and made from the step stool that we had for our kid, painted it red, and then did a glitter spray paint over it, and then arranged all of these pictures of Joyce decoupage on top of it. And then I cut out her name and put Joyce on the top. So when my son was like 3 years old, he would be like, Mom, I can't reach that. And I was like, you'd have to get Joyce. So now Joyce is just a member of our family. But I'm just looking at your wings now. I guess I could just look over it, but it would involve you. Yes.
Yeah, because there's like multiple tiers.
Yes. I mentioned this earlier, but I've made a number of wings. I do Halloween costumes for my kiddo every year. And then
What was this year?
this year he was a character from a anime. 2 years ago he went as Roadkill, and that was really fun.
Love that.
He got a lot of attention for that one. And making guts out of yarn and foam and sponges was fun too. Whenever I think about Halloween or people ask me about the costumes that I've made for Ro and I, say that's why I had a kid to begin with.
Yeah, just to dress for Halloween. Yeah.
Yeah, just to have a request made and be like, ooh, how will I do that? And he's made some good ones. I mean, we've done a tree frog and the death head moth at one point. Yeah. So that's how I know about making wings, which is all about layering, but I've only used felt and fur. This is a material that I'll have to get into if he requests a bird next year.
What this is, some kind of foam?
Yeah, but it's lightweight and the movement is really good. Yeah, I'm into it. It's kind of different. One of my favorite games to play, my friend Liz, who is another local artist who I love very much, we were talking about this game that we like to play, and she came up with, she goes, oh, police sketch? And I was like, well,
Police.
But that's what it is. It's a game where you talk to someone. I was talking to another friend of mine about her boss, and she was complaining about him and how awful he is, and she had never described him to me. And I asked a couple basic questions, and I sat down with a pencil and in like 1 or 2 minutes drew him, and I showed it to her. This is what I imagine him looking like.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the police sketch game, and it looked just like him. Let's see here. Okay, I will never be able to do your makeup as well as you did, but those eyes we're getting some black swan eyes there.
Yes, that was one of my inspiration photos. Yes.
Yeah. And not paying you enough, girl. Yeah, I was trying to do your makeup on that other one I did, and it was not easy.
Oh, the flower? Yeah.
There's so many highlights. I'm just looking at the shape of your bodice here. So we're getting to a point here now where I have done this sort of simple sketch, and I think that we could start painting. But I've sketched out the wings, and we have your waist and curve and your little bob, this little, your little pixie cut. I also gave you bigger boobs, but...
Oh, we always want that, yeah. Balance it out.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna start with your wings because I really like them. Yeah. Yeah, and we'll start with the red ones at the outside first, the maroon ones, and then layer as we go. Another fun thing about acrylic is being able to layer. You can't really layer, like I was saying with watercolor.
Yeah.
It's tricky. I always feel like when I go over something with I brought a couple fine-tipped black permanent markers. It gives it sort of more of a cartoony feel.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think I probably would do that with this one just because there's so much detail in your wings and like showing the difference in the, each of the feathers. Once it's dry, I'll go over it with a fine-tipped black pen to just make them pop a little bit more. But yeah, I never really actually know what I'm doing while I'm doing it.
How do you know when it's done? I feel like that's the hardest part.
Oh.
Like I'm always someone who wants to like keep finessing or
Of
adding.
course. But that's also such a curse because if you do that enough, you're going to end up ruining it. And I have done that so many times where I was like, it was perfect. The windows at the Y, that is like, I've ruined so many being like, I just need to correct this one piece, and then I scrape a chunk of it off and I have to spend another 3 hours.
I mean, I'm not a visual artist. Well, I am a visual artist now with makeup. It's the same way.
Oh, absolutely.
Like as soon as
Don't
I'm like,
cross that
I like
line.
this, I'm like, don't touch it.
Yeah.
Don't touch it.
Or if you're like, ooh, that eye's better, I'm just gonna.
Yeah, no. If you like one eye, I've learned to stop.
Yeah. Just keep it. They can be sisters, not twins.
So how do you find people to commission your work, or where do you sell your work?
Working through the Y, I've gotten a lot of work through there because people come in and see what I'm working on and then ask for stuff. I also have an Instagram account that's dedicated to my art stuff.
Wait, what's that one?
That is the EJ Seastone art.art.
I don't even think I'm following that
No,
one.
you
I think I'm just following your
should.
personal one.
Yeah, get on there. Friends of friends, some random people. The Ipswich Art Association has been great. I have gotten a number of commissions through people who've seen my stuff there and wanted to either, if not to buy it, then to commission something similar. And I have had an Etsy shop before.
What did you find sold the most?
Let's see. Well, right now, 'tis the season for the pet portrait, which is what I have.
Yeah.
I've done hundreds of pet portraits.
Why is it the season for pet portraits?
Because everybody wants a painting of their puppy for Christmas. And I do love painting them. I love painting animals. But yeah, I've done, in the last month, I've probably done 20 pet portraits, maybe 15. But they're all, going out in the mail and whatnot. And I can get it out of my house without having to stare at it. That's part of the beauty of where we live now is the barn where I hide all of the things that I never want to look at again.
Oh, yeah.
Much to my husband's chagrin. Let's see. Can you open your wing for me? Beautiful. All right. We're going to move on. We're going to move on to some gray here. This will not be done by the end of our interview.
That's okay.
I'm sorry. I've done a lot of paintings of birds, and their wings are so specific. They're all so different and so complicated. So often with wings, if the feathers are pointing down like this, you'll want to layer them like this, so that they're
Yes, I see that here too.
yeah, just so they don't all blend in together.
Yeah. Do you give yourself a timeline?
I'm a little bit obsessive when it comes to things like working on a commission or working on a specific project where I'll kind of just work until it's done, which is how I'll, stay up till 2 a.m. making a Halloween costume or working on something.
That's good. You won't get distracted by another project.
It's just, I'm one of those people, if I set it down, it's so hard to come back to.
Yeah.
I don't know if everybody's like that, but I definitely have had many situations where I have been like, oh, I really like this. And right now I have 5 or 6 tables that are halfway finished. And once I step away, I'm like, oh, I really should have just stayed on.
Because I don't know, I'm the same way with my like drag projects. I'll like find something that inspires me, work really hard on it.
This is one of my favorite ones.
Thank you. And the thing is, I had like all the base, like I had the outfit, the corset, and all that.
Of course,
And
I
then
would love
like,
to see.
"Oh,
Do you have a closet that's as big as
oh
your
my
house?
goodness, I have a whole drag room.
Okay, good.
The dream is to have like a whole addition to the house. And I'm gearing up to go do a drag Messiah. So like the Messiah, which is often performed during the holidays, like the Hallelujah chorus. Hallelujah.
Yeah.
So I'm gearing up to do that in a bar in New York City next week. So I'm excited for that.
Wow. Are you gonna play?
Yeah. So every member of the orchestra and the singers are all gonna be in drag.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yeah, and it's headlined by, her name's Creatine Price, and she's currently in the quarterfinals of France's America's Got Talent.
Oh,
And she's
no
like an
way.
amazing opera singer and drag artist in New York, so.
Oh, that's so cool.
But a lot of the performers are from Boston, because Boston is such a art-centric, especially in the classical music field.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I'm traveling there with Tilda Waters-Clear, who's a classical trombonist.
Wow, that's so
Yeah,
cool.
It'll be so fun.
Oh, I'm very excited. I hope they film it so that I can watch it.
Oh, for sure. If not, I'll get Logan, my husband, to do it.
Yeah, good.
It's been such a pleasure having
Thank you for
Eliza.
having me.
I can't wait to see the finished product. And
Me too.
yeah, make sure to follow all future segments. I hope to have a lot of our friends, fellow artists from the community on Dr. Viola Voila Voices and Videos. And Eliza, where can they find you?
They can find me on Instagram. For my artwork is EJ Seastone, which is my last name, .art. And that's, you can contact me there if you need anything or if you're interested in checking it out. And also the Ipswich Art Association shows, go check out local art.
Yeah, come find us.
Yeah.
Thank you, and see you next time.
Enjoy yourself.